Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Estee McCrawly here with another video. Today we got some more double battles here on the battle spot using the Mega Altaria team. And I know I didn't come up with an upload on Saturday, I'm sorry. I'm not going to go into big excuses, but I figured out a while back that, I realized whatever you want to call it, but on the battle spot, at least in the doubles, in ranked, there's a lot less people battling now. And I usually do my battles at night. And at night, there's hardly anyone on, so it takes me forever to get into a battle. So I forgot about that, and when I tried to record battles for Saturday's upload, I couldn't get any. So I need to personally, I forgot. No excuse. I mean, I knew this, like I said, so I don't have an excuse. I forgot, but I'll remember that in the future, or I'll try and remember that in the future, so that doesn't happen again. But we're just gonna go ahead and get straight into this first battle. A very, very interesting team my opponent had. He had Latios, Blastoise, Crobat, Scizor, Ludicolo, and Rhyperior. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, we've got Ludicolo, but he doesn't have Politoed. He doesn't have any Drizzle user. So he must have some Pokemon with Rain Dance. And I was like, okay, well, he's also got the Blastoise, which could take advantage of like a rain boosted Water Pulse with Mega Blastoise. So and that was a little interesting here. I'm like, Rotom's gonna be really good. It's gonna be able to deal with that Rhyperior. It's gonna deal with the Blastoise. It's gonna be able to get a Shadow Ball off on the Latios. But pretty much the only things I was debating whether or not to bring Altaria since he did have the Crobat and the Scizor. But I was like, I can still get some decent damage off, especially against that Latias. And then he's against Rhyperior. It has very terrible special defense. So I decided to bring it in the end. We're going to get started with this first battle. My opponent leads with Crobat Scizor, which is not what I was expecting at all. That's why I lead with Rotom Klefki here. But at the same time, matchup isn't too bad. I go straight for the Thunder Wave on the Crobat. I know it can carry Taunt. It's also a very common Super Fang user, but I want to slow this thing down because it's so fast. And sure enough, we do see the Super Fang onto the Rotom, which is going to do half my health. And I was like, okay, well, I outspeed the Scizor. That's good information to have. And I just went for the safe T-Bolt. And he goes straight for the Swords Dance, a very, very greedy play. At first, I was like, maybe he's going for the Bug Bite onto Rotom, thinking it has a Citrus Berry. But here I get the light screen off. It's not too big of a deal because it is a Scizor, but I didn't know. I was expecting the Bullet Punch to actually go onto the Klefki. But he probably didn't realize how little damage the Bullet Punch would do. And I just go for the... I was like, here I'm going for a Hydro Pump because I didn't know if he was going to go for the Bullet Punch or if he was going to go for like an X-Scissor or Bug Bite. So I was like, well, I'm just going to see if I can knock it out before it can attack me. But this time he does go for the Klefki. But it's going to be too late. Scizor is going down. So it's a big offensive threat taken care of already. Huge breathing room for my Mega Altaria. And here I go for... There's not much else I can do, but one of the reasons I did go for the Foul Play is just in case this thing was holding a Focus Sash, or even if it was carrying Leftovers, I'd be able to see that at the end of the turn. But no Leftovers, and if it is Focus Sash, it's broken now. So here I get a nice Thunder Wave off onto the Latias, which is also fantastic since it's also really fast. It can outspeed my Mega Altaria. And I'm like, oh, of course you got the Lumberry. So we do see a Psychic here onto Rotom. Going to go from 51 to 34. So 17 health with that Assault Vest, Max Special Defense, Light Screens. And here it's actually, the damage I get off is pretty nice because this Crobat's useless. As we've seen Super Fang, we haven't seen a Poison type move. So I'm in really good shape. There's no need to knock it out since it can't do anything against me. So he does Quick Guard my Thunder Wave. And here he goes for the Ice Beam. He was predicting me to switch out into the Hydreigon. I haven't revealed that I have Hydreigon on the back yet, but I guarantee you that's what he was predicting right there. So unfortunately, well, and the thing, it's not that big of a deal anyways, because another Psychic still wouldn't have knocked me out. So he didn't really lose anything on that play. And here I keep on going for Thunder Waves because like I said, this Crobat's useless right now. So I can, I'll be able to finish No, I'll keep it useless. It won't be able to Super Fang. If it has Roost, it won't be able to Roost. It's just sitting there useless right now. So I do get my... Here I was like, do I go for the T-Wave or do I go for the Light Screen? In the end, I decided to go for the Light Screen just because the thing, I was like, he's probably going to go for the Super Fang here because I'm most likely going to go for the Light Screen instead of the T-Wave. But here I was like, there's nothing he can do against my Altaria except for Ice Beam, which isn't Stab. He's not Life Orb, he's not Specs, he has no item. So with the Light Screen up, this Ice Beam is not going to do anything to me since I am max special defense as it is. So I go for a Crafty Shield here. I didn't know if Crobat had some sort of move. I just didn't want to risk anything. And sure enough, we do see the Ice Beam. You see it takes me from 150 to 113. That says nothing. And he gets the freeze. I don't know where I've seen this before. Altaria getting frozen, where it's relatively safe for it to come out. We got Deja Vu, boys. Deja Vu. So we did get the full pair on the Crobat, so Hack's going a little bit our way as well. And we finally paralyzed this Latias, which is very, very nice. And here we see a nice tech move. He's got Heal Pulse. And I was like, oh, well, that undoes my strategy completely. Because now a Hyper Voice won't be able to pick up the double knockout. So he is full paralyzed again. So at this point, I'm just waiting for Altaria to wake up. And he's going to switch out into the Blastoise, which is most likely going to be able to deal more damage to my Altaria than the Latias. So, and then that's the third full paralysis in a row. So, Hack's going our way as well. We do see this is the Mega Blastoise, so this thing can be a little scary. So, he's going to Mega Evolve here. And we do see a Quick Guard, so he's predicting the T-Wave, which he gets. At this point, I'm kind of happy to make him go for a Quick Guard instead of him going for a Super Fang on my Mega Altaria. Klefki goes down here, and we finally thaw out. So here we're going to get a nice Hyper Voice off. It's going to deal tons of damage to the Mega Blastoise. We do get the crit on the Mega Blastoise, which is really nice. Regardless, one more, like it was still a 2-hit KO. So not too game changing. We do see a Protect here from the Mega Blastoise. Not something I was predicting, to be honest. That's why I went for the Dark Pulse there. I was like, I need to get this Mega Blastoise off the field, and the last Pokemon you have in the back are useless. So Hyper Voice does not pick up the knockout on Crobat. That's not honestly what I'd prefer, rather than that Latias coming in, even though it is paralyzed, so it is just as useless. So this time around, we're going to get the crit. Absolutely. Well, that crit probably would have one-shotted the Mega Blastoise, but no big deal. Here, Hyper Voice is going to come through. It's going to be able to knock it out. Since it is single target, it's going to do a little bit more damage. And the last Pokemon that's going to come in is the Latias. We have super effective stab on both Pokemon, and my opponent's just going to forfeit right there. So that one, I'm not even going to get into the hacks. I mean, we got plenty of full paralysis on the Crobat. He got the freeze on me. It was like a 3 or 4 turn freeze. I'm not going to get into it. It'd just be too complicated. In the end, even though we had hacks against us, we still won. So, an enjoyable battle. Mega Blastoise, that was an interesting rain team as well. I'm honestly surprised he didn't bring the Ludicolo for the matchup against the Rotom. He was probably just scared of the... or he probably just thought that he needed those other Pokemon more. Like, obviously, I think the Scizor should have been switched out for the Ludicolo, but he probably took Scizor for the Mega Altaria. And it also had a good matchup against Hydreigon and stuff, so an enjoyable first battle. We're going to get into the next one now. Another interesting team by my opponent. He had a team of Jolteon, Swampert, Dragonite, Azumarill, Klefki, and Charizard. So, interestingly enough, he chose not to bring either of his Fairy-type Pokemon. Klefki most likely not carrying a Fairy-type move, but I was kind of scared of the Azumarill because it did do pretty well against my team. Super effective stab for or it'd be able to floor Hydreigon, super effective stab for Altaria, for Infernape, but he were pretty much pure. Well, I mean, his team was pure power as it was. The Klefki was like the support Pokemon. He decided not to bring it. So here I'm like, okay, well, most likely going to be Charizard Y. So Tauros is going to be good since it's going to be able to. A Rock Slide will do like 75%. Against the Dragonite, it's going to be tricky. But I was like, if I can get like a Rock Slide and a Hyper Voice, like if I go to try to take it out, I know it's holding Weakness Policy. I think that's more than obvious. So I need to like hit it with a super effective move, and then like for example, Rock Slide and Hyper Voice in the same turn, or Hidden Power Ice and Rock Slide in the same turn, or something. So that's kind of just my strategy. Klefki is going to be key here. Since, well, if you look at the 4 Pokemon he brought, those are incredibly fast Pokemon. The Klefki and the Azumarill, or Azumarill has priority. It's not really that fast, and Klefki also has priority. But the Pokemon he had were incredibly fast. So from what we have here, this is going to be a decent Intimidate since it's going to bring that Dragonite at -1. And we do see the Mega Evolution here. So here I have a couple options. I could go, because I have the Thunder Wave option, I have the Light Screen option. Light Screen would make it to where I could possibly live with no Light Screen. If it connects with these Pokemon, they're getting floored. But I decided the most important thing to go for here is the Thunder Wave onto the Dragonite. Since it's such a fast Pokemon, I need to be able to outspeed it in order to take it down. So I just go for the return here. I'm like, if Tauros does get knocked out, it's going to do decent damage. I don't want to activate the Weakness Policy, so that's why I don't go for Rock Slide. And he does get a double connect and a double knockout. So while unfortunate, it's still not the end of the world because in the back I have a decent matchup for these two Pokemon. So if he goes for the Dragon Dance, that's going to nullify the Intimidate, and he's paralyzed, so his speed boost doesn't even matter. So I have Rotom Altaria in the back. So if I had two Pokemon I wanted to have against these two that he had, these would be it right here. This would be a pretty decent lead. So here I go for the Mega Evolution. So what's good here is a Heat Wave will do very little, and an Outrage I am immune to with Altaria. So we're going to see a Solar Beam here, and I'm like, okay, this should do around 50% since it's not Stab, since I am Assault Vest, and it does do 50%. I get a Thunderbolt off onto Charizard. It's going to be enough to pick up the knockout. That's all I wanted. That's a big threat out of the way. I had to prioritize that since it is what's going to be able to deal the most damage to my Rotom. And now I go for the Cotton Guard, and he goes for Outrage. And luckily, this is the first time that he outrages into the Pokemon I want him to outrage into. There's the 50-50 chance, and I finally get the 50%. So a little bit of luck on our side. And we see a Protect here from Jolteon. I'm like, okay, well, that's perfect. Here, like I was saying, this is where I need to like double target the Dragonite to break multi-scale to activate the Weakness Policy and knock it out. So I was actually hoping that Hyper Voice would go first because I thought Hidden Power Ice would do more damage, and I was like, I don't know if Hidden Power Ice will actually be able to pick up, or Hyper Voice would be able to pick up the knockout, but it did. Very, very powerful Pokemon, this Mega Altaria. Quite the powerful Pokemon, able to pick up that knockout. And what's he got in the back? He's got Greninja, Jolteon. So we are going to see the Hidden Power Ice. I actually wasn't expecting that. And we do see a map block. So very rarely do I see Greninja in doubles. Even less. I think this is the first time I've seen it, or maybe second time I've seen it with map block. I knew I had access to it. So he's actually going to be able to nullify this damage, which is going to be huge. That probably would have picked up the knockout onto. So here I go for Protect. I'm expecting him to double target Mega Altaria this time around with Hidden Power Ice and Ice Beam. If it was just Hidden Power Ice or just Ice Beam, I'd be in a lot better shape. But since he has both, that's pretty bad for me. And I do get a little bit of chip damage off right there. The only way I can win this now is pretty much, or keep Altaria alive, is a double Protect. Since both his Pokemon are definitely faster than mine, I have to get the double Protect there. I don't get it, and he is able to pick up the knockout, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, I'm also going to pick up a knockout onto his Greninja this turn with the Thunderbolt. So we get a nice 1v1 here. This Jolteon, I assumed it had Volt Absorb this whole time, so I just never went for the Thunderbolt. He goes for the Shadow Ball here, most likely hoping for the special defense drop. I was considering going for it as well, but we do see Hydro Pump does just over half. I'm like, ooh, if I connect with one more, depending on the roll, I could knock it out. So he goes for Thunderbolt, and he gets a crit. So we'll never know what happens if that Hydro Pump would have connected, if it would have been enough. I get critted, which I can't complain about. I can't believe it just came down to the wire like that, where I died to a crit. So that was unfortunate. The way I could have won that, if I knew the Greninja was going to go for a map block, or even if I didn't, if I just protected that first turn, that would have nullified his map block and his Hidden Power Ice, and I most likely would have been able to survive. Like, I would have been at full health, and he would have gone for Hidden Power Ice and Ice Beam in the same turn, and there would have been a higher chance of me surviving. So that might have been what I needed, but oh well, it is what it is. I just kind of always laugh if like when I lose on something like that, like I lose on a crit. The Thunderbolt wouldn't have knocked me out, but the thing too, against like those last 5 turns, if I had Light Screen up, I would have been set. That Hidden Power Ice would have done nothing. The Ice Beam would have done decent damage, but I would have been able to fire back with a Hyper Voice, and it would have been over. So, a couple of enjoyable battles. I could have played a little bit better, I guess, but that's pretty much it. If you guys get any suggestions for me, let me know. I'm going to be making a couple of new teams coming up, so keep your eyes peeled for those. If you guys want to battle me, go ahead and let me know also. But that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.